Hi, everybody. It's another Conversations with, and I am delighted to have my dear friend Joe Rolanitis from the Food and Drug Administration with me today. Joe, it's always great to see you, and it's great to have you with us.
Mr. Vaughn, it's an honor to be here. You know
Well,
that.
I don't know about that, but listen, one of the things that we know, we're in the middle of winter.
We are.
And in New England, boy, do we really have some cold, cold days.
That's true.
Okay? I'm in my little Irish sweater. My mother knitted this. by
You
the
look
way.
great.
My mother
It's
made
a good
this for me.
outfit.
It's great. Oh, yeah.
Corduroy, that's Americana.
Oh, yeah.
Now, do you have initials anywhere on your outfit? You do.
Of course I do.
I knew that.
And I think it gets better. How many do you want? But anyway, the point is that Joe's here, and one of the things, I was watching one of the Boston TV stations, and the young lady, Cindy, who does the weather, was talking about how cold it's going to be over the next stretch of days here. And then we were in January, and in another couple of days, February, and it does get really cold.
It does.
And, we worry about ourselves, but like I said, I've got my little scarf, and I've got my big, heavy sweater on, and my turtleneck. I want to keep warm today. We forget about our doggies and our kitties.
Yes. Important. Yeah.
And you remember, we wear shoes and boots, this time of years. And those poor little guys got their little feet with their little pads, and they're on that ice and snow. Number one, they can slip, just like we can, and fall.
I've seen them.
And get hurt. But number two, it doesn't take long for those little pads to get really, really cold. And even leaving them in the cars. The car can be nice and warm even in the sun. But boy, on a day like today, that car will cool off real quick.
Sure.
And you leave that little poor fella in there. And even though you open the window for him, it gets really, really cold.
Correct.
And that fur they have only goes so far.
Yeah, we're their best advocates for safety in bad weather. We really are. I mean, we're the smart ones, we think, and we should take care of them. Whether it's what they eat, the weight, their outdoor environments, their
That's
medication, even around the holiday season, you got to watch out as to what's shiny and bright, and they go after and sometimes devour. I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, because it's nice to know the stat. I'm a big stat guy.
I know.
I'm from the government.
I'm sure we got some.
I've got some stats. The percentage of houses in the U.S. that have dogs is 36.5. 36.5 of the houses in the United States have dogs. 30.4, that's almost 31, have cats. So they are just a huge part of our households. And about 44 million. Let's up that. About 70 million dogs in the country, and 75 million cats. My goodness, they're everywhere.
Hold on a second.
All right.
We got 36% of the people in the country have dogs.
That's correct.
And we have 140 million between dogs and cats.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have more than one, obviously.
Oh, multiple. But the pet industry and the veterinary medicine industry must love that. Oh yeah, multiple animals. I mean, we're a rich nation.
Well, I got to tell you this. My daughter Catherine lives down in Middletown, Rhode Island.
Nice area.
And Kathy does a thing. She takes care of labs.
Oh, nice.
And they have these labs for adoption.
Best dog
and
in the world.
They come up from Georgia and places like that.
I've heard about that.
And they bring them up, and then they once a month, Kathy has a Sunday afternoon at her place, and folks come, and they have to go through it. They just can't go in and get a doggie. They have to be tested. They have to pass little tests,
Sure.
and they have to be interviewed, and then they can adopt a pet.
Good homes.
And it's called Adopt a Lab is what it's called.
Yeah.
And so I know that she's very involved, and every day I get a Facebook picture with some other little poochie that she has down there. But the point I'm making is that people really need to think, especially in the winter, about their animals and take good care of them.
Sure, and they're a big part of the family. You know that, and when you sit down to dinner, I mean, pets have their food, people have food. They're not always the same and good for each other. I mean, allergies, for example, food allergies in dogs tend to manifest themselves in ear issues, ear infections, and skin infections. Not everything on your plate is good for your pet on the floor. It's not.
I have to tell you a great story.
You didn't steal any dog chow, did you?
No.
Okay.
We when the kids were little, my wife's mother wanted a dog. I had a friend she would work at the radio station in Ware, and she had a Saint Bernard who had a litter of puppies.
Oh, how nice.
So they wanted it. So I got the Saint Bernard.
Sure.
Well, my mother-in-law had him for a week, and she said, "Oh, I can't take care of him. Oh, he's all over the place. He's a little tiny guy."
Puppies are all over.
So we ended up with the Saint Bernard,
Right.
and I had the 5 kids. So the dog his name was Baron, and he gets a little older, and it was Easter Sunday, and we're all down at the in-laws, and we had a beautiful spiral ham, and we're sitting at the dining room table, and my father-in-law takes the ham and he puts it in the kitchen, and get some space on the table.
I sort of know where this is going, Coach.
So a little while later, somebody decides they want another slice of ham. So Jack gets up and goes in the kitchen. "Where'd the ham go?" And I said, "That's right on the table, Jack. I saw you put it there." "Well, it's not here." So I get up and I look, and under the table
It's barren.
there's Baron having a delightful Easter Sunday dinner.
And well, he should. We
He
love these
went up,
people.
got the ham, took it right off the table, brought it under the table, and we're sitting down just having a delightful time.
Well, it happens.
But that's dogs.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the point is, I tell that little funny story to bring up the point that to your point, people love their animals, but you know what? There's food for those animals.
You're right.
That's prepared specifically for those animals, and you don't want to use something that you might have that you think is great,
Right.
or that he thinks is great.
Correct.
That may not do him the right.
Grapes, raisins, currants can cause kidney problems in dogs. Fried and fatty foods also cause medical problems. You got to avoid giving those to dogs. Moldy food, you clean off stuff. Salty snacks are okay in very, very small amounts, but once again, they cause need for water. Onions, garlics, chives can be harmful to both dogs and cats, especially in large amounts. And also, no chocolate. No chocolate. Chocolate is very dangerous for these animals. And why am I mentioning primarily dogs here? Because cats are more particular about what they eat.
Oh,
Cats,
they are.
Cats really are.
Yeah,
They've got this common
their
sense
nose up at it.
and dietary awareness
Yeah.
that keeps them away from, like, garbage and chicken bones, which
Yeah.
dogs, Baron, I'm sure, would have
Yeah.
loved, and it can cause real problems, tearing up their mouth, their
Yeah.
esophagus, stomach, internal injuries for large
Yeah,
dogs.
you got to be careful with soft bones.
Oh, you
Because
do.
they can snap those things
Yeah.
in their teeth.
They can, yeah.
And then they get it lodged in their throat,
Yeah.
and they got a real problem.
Major issue. And
Yeah.
of course, veterinary bills are rather steep. They're pricey. And
Some
so-
of the stories that I've heard of people with an animal that needs help.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 operations.
Big time money.
Yeah.
I've got a stat here that I know you love stats. On the average American spends about $230 a year on medical care for their dogs and about $90 a year for their cat. I mean, multiply that by multiple cats or
Yeah.
dogs, and you're buying good health for the animal. Really, you have to.
And don't forget, that's an average.
That's an average. And
So
yeah.
one $3,000 operation.
Oh, you're there. You are totally there. Destroy the average. Weight for both humans and dogs and cats, a big concern. Obesity.
I've seen some of these dogs and cats that are huge.
I know, it's amazing. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they share the same health problems, high blood pressure, heart and respiratory diseases, kidney problems, diabetes, that overweight people suffer from. So I guess the rule is you don't go over 20% of the recommended weight for the animal. Anything over the 20% over the ideal body weight is really considered obese,
Wow.
and the problems come with it. Your vet can tell you, according to the species, the animal, the age,
Yeah.
What the good body weight is to maintain for a dog or a cat. That's the real good thing. So, some of the questions you want to ask, is your pet gaining weight and why? Good, safe, normal weight for the dog or cat in question. Types of food, the best types of food to give to your pet. How much, how often? Really important to know that. And does the cat or the dog have a health issue that requires you to monitor their weight more closely? Just as you said earlier, responsible things that you and I do or should be doing as pet owners.
Well, I think one of the problems, and we've got some people coming on from the Second Chance Doggy
yes,
up in East Brookfield.
You've had them on before.
Yes, and they're going to come on again. I met them recently, and Lindsay's going to come on right after the first of the year. And she and I have had a conversation, and I don't happen to have pets. I don't.
But you
don't
have.
The kids had them. I never did. And but the point I'm making is Lindsay said, if you're going to have a pet, whether it's a dog or a cat or even a fish, little fish in a bowl.
Sure.
Her point was, then be responsible
Oh, big time.
and treat the animal or the pet as you would treat, a person. Only because if you mistreat them, that's not fair to the animal. Whether it's you don't give them enough to eat, or you give them too much to eat, or you don't take care of them if they're ill, or you get whatever, or you treat them, you put them out, throw them out in the yard, because when it's on a cold day like
It's tough,
today,
yeah.
and leave them out there for a couple of hours, and they have no place to huddle with the wind whipping and so forth, and so that's abuse. And she was sharing with me that they have a lot of pets that they get that are brought up there
Sure.
that have been abused, in one situation or another, and so it's sad, and it's mistreated. And you see these stories every once in a while. You'll see one on TV where they arrest somebody who's mistreated animals. Of some of these people who have 42 cats.
That's amazing.
You
I
know.
know. That's sad. That's scary.
Scary.
Yeah.
And someone will turn them in, and they go up, and they've got 42 cats. Some of them are dying. Some of them are dead, laying all around the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lady with a horrible story. They went in and investigated, and they opened the freezer, and there was 4 cats in the freezer that had died, and she froze them, tried to put them away so she could keep them.
Right.
Had them in the freezer.
That's a
After
mental
they
health
passed
issue.
out,
Yeah.
passed away.
Yeah.
And stories like that are tragic. And so there's a big responsibility with owning an animal. There really is. And most people, please don't take me wrong, I know that 99% of the people love their pet and take very good care of it. But you hear these, I call them war stories. You hear these war stories every once in a while, and you go, what?
Right. Yeah, it's
what
sad.
are you thinking about?
Yeah. But just understanding their dietary needs, understanding their medical requirements, the vaccinations,
Oh, yeah.
the surgeries or the sutures when needed. Understanding that's important. Realizing that obesity is a problem for both dogs and cats, same as in people. And I had easily half a dozen stories on obesity.
Oh, absolutely.
But never one on pet obesity. So that's a real concern, and understand what the dogs or cats should eat and shouldn't eat. One thing I want to hit upon, and the FDA really stresses this, is a product called the Bone Treat, which is it's a packaged treat for a dog that is interesting at best, and we don't always recommend those for dogs. A Bone Treat breaks up, it's chewy, and we have all sorts of interesting literature on our website that your viewers can definitely tag into and see. And these can cause esophagus blockage, which is never good for a dog, diarrhea, digestive tract problems, rectal bleeding, cuts, wounds, choking, vomiting, diarrhea. I think I would stay away from most bone treats unless you get a check off from your vet to give that to your dog.
Well, it says right here, Joe, bone treats are real bones that have been processed. Sometimes they're flavored, and then they're packaged up for doggies.
Correct.
So giving your dog a bone treat might lead to an unexpected trip to the veterinarian, a possible emergency surgery, or even death.
Yeah, it's a dramatic thing.
Yeah.
And we've taken a hard, cold look at that. Of course, we have our Center for Veterinary Medicine, CVM, which is probably one of the smallest centers in the FDA, but really, really active in their publications, Coach, in their getting information out. This program is a great program for the FDA to get its message out to a lot of viewers.
It says right here, many dog owners know not to toss a turkey or a chicken bone to their
goodness
puppy.
not, yeah.
These bones are just too brittle. But the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, says the risk goes beyond that, especially when it comes to bone treats that you may find in the store.
Correct.
And they outline a bone treat, and they received about 68 reports of pet illnesses related to bone treats, which differ from uncooked butcher-type bones because they are processed and packaged for a sale
correct.
as a dog treat. Now,
Yeah, it's a
if
big
you go to the
market.
butcher and you get a nice big bone that he's got that he's taken off
Right.
a piece of beef or whatever, and you give that to your dog. They love that.
They love
can,
that. They
They
truly
can
do.
gnaw that thing and
Yep.
gnaw it, sharpen their teeth
For days.
Oh, days, and they protect that thing, baby.
They do.
They take his bone away.
It's something.
But I used to get when the kids were little. If I went up to the IGA, I'd see the butcher, and he had a whole, for all his customers. He had anytime he had a bone, he would save them. And
Yeah,
he
sure.
always had a little supply
Yeah.
if people needed a bone for the
Yeah.
dog. And
It's good public relations.
oh, it was great. But those are different than these little trees.
They are. They are. They don't cause the blockage that
No.
the packaged and processed bone
No.
treat could do. So we're really aware of that. We realize from a mental health standpoint, and just from a socializing aspect, how important our pets are. I mean, the stats that we opened the show with, with 69 million here, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of pets out there.
Oh.
Multiple pet
Right.
homes, really.
question.
Yeah, and so the exotic pets like the birds and the snakes and the lizards and the whatever, they're
And
out there
they
too.
have dribbles and they have
Yeah.
hamsters and
There's all sorts of things.
fish and
Yeah.
so forth.
Yeah.
So people have them, and as this young lady, and she'll be coming on in a couple of weeks, pointed out at an event that I was at, that there's a huge responsibility that goes with owning a pet,
Oh, big time.
and the responsibility is you must take care of them and treat them well,
Yes.
because to do otherwise is not fair to the poor pet.
Yeah.
And people need to be aware of that and really take that down to heart.
Sure, sure. And you can always visit the FDA's website, www.fda.gov/pet awareness, pet care, bone treats, dog health, cat health, and you get a plethora, that's one of your words,
Oh, I love that word.
plethora
It means a lot.
of information.
Whole bunch.
A whole bunch of information, that's
yeah.
my word, a whole
Yeah.
bunch of information on proper pet care and maintenance. And Mr. Vaughn is correct. You got to love them, you got to take care of them, and you're
There's a
responsible.
responsibility for that, absolutely. Well, one of the other things, we've spent some time on the dogs, but here we sit in the winter. And I was watching the news, and there was a lovely young woman, female lady doctor, who was on today and said that in the last 2 or 3 days, the emergency room at this particular facility in Boston has been overloaded with people who are coming in and don't even realize they have frostbite,
Oh, yeah.
because the temperatures and it's going to, in the next 4 or 5 or 6 days, right through the 2nd or 3rd of January, we're going to have some bitter cold weather. And it takes 20 to 25 minutes of exposed skin, and you've got frostbite.
Wow.
And people don't realize
It's
it.
painful.
And you gotta really be careful of your face and cheeks when you're out. You could cover them up.
Sure.
You can do whatever you do, but you need to protect yourself in these and you dress in layers, and you protect yourself because it's very, very easy. You don't realize how fast and it's very, very dry, and the sun is out and it looks beautiful,
Oh, I know, these blue days are
but the
wonderful.
sun has no effect.
That's right.
I mean,
No
it's
heat
14
there.
degrees,
Right.
and then you got wind blowing at 10 miles an hour, and now you got a -2 wind chill factor, and it's the wind that cuts across, and in no time you can end up with a very painful situation, and this doctor pointed out, if you get home and you start to feel your fingers tingly, call your doctor right away because you got a problem.
Right.
And she said, a lot of times people will come in outside and they'll turn on the warm water or the hot water and put their hands under it to warm them up quickly. You got to be very careful doing that because if you really do have frostbite,
Soft tissue damage.
yeah, you're not gonna help yourself. But if you're just chilly and cold, that's fine. But make sure you dry yourself off and use moisturizer because it's very, very dry.
Where does hot chocolate come into this equation?
Well, we used to have cocoa.
Oh,
I don't know if they have that anymore.
no, they do. It's still out
They
there.
still have
Yeah,
that?
it's still out
Well, Nana used to make hot cocoa for us
with marshmallows.
with marshmallows.
Oh, that's a throwback to a great day.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
Nana would do that. But no, hot chocolate is good. Warm you right up. Like I love, if I go out to dinner, I always get soup this time of year.
Oh, it's great.
Just a little cup of soup is
Oh, it's
great.
nice.
Hot soup
Yeah.
is wonderful
Yeah.
to start off your meal. And so those are things you can do to take care of yourself. warm your car up. If you don't have an automatic starter, what you do is you go out, start the car, dress up, start the car, let it run for 10 or 15 minutes. Look, if I left you out all night, standing in the driveway,
People would like to sometimes.
yeah, and all of a sudden I come running up at 6:30 in the morning and say, okay, let's go. Think about it. That car's been sitting there all night, and it's been, and yes, it doesn't have the feeling that we have, but if you start them up and just start driving them, all of those mechanical parts,
Sure.
they've been sitting there all
The
night.
lubricants.
Yeah,
like
let
that
it warm up, and I do it myself. If you've got a seat warmer, when you start the car, hit the button, and let your seat warm up, so that when you get back in the car after 10 or 15 minutes, it's nice and warm.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can just go on about your business and go to work or your meeting or whatever you're doing.
You can deal with New England. It's not that long a cold season. It's tough at times, but you can deal with it.
Oh,
Look at you. You're the poster guy for not only looking good in what you wear, but knowing what to wear.
When I was moderator up in Wales. We had the annual town meeting, and one year I get up and people were always, I used to tell them, I said, now look, every time you vote yes tonight on an article that requires expenditure, or every time you vote yes for a budget item, you are adding to the tax rate. Remember that. So every time you vote, you're putting money, we got to pay that bill that you just voted for.
Right.
And you're increasing taxes. But I will share something with you. And I went through my litany. I said, if everybody in the room will promise me they will not play with matches, we might be able to get rid of the whole fire department. And we could save over $3 million. Now, if everybody promises me that they won't fight with their neighbor and they'll drive and obey the speed limits, we can probably get rid of the police
That's
department.
the PD.
And we can probably get rid of another $3 million. And look, generally speaking, the kids graduate when they're 17. Do you think if we closed the schools for just 1 year and they were 18 when they graduated, it would make a difference? No. So if you close those, that's $7 million. And I said, and then the last one. I know for a fact, and I'm going to make you a promise, folks, that by May 1st, the snow will be gone. It will melt. It has every single year since I've been here. By May 1st, the snow's gone. Some years it's April 10th. But May 1st, for sure, there's no more snow. So we can get rid of the highway department. We won't plow the streets. It'll lament it. It's going to melt. It does every other year. It'll go away. And now they're all looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said, see, folks, we're not going to do any of those things because it wouldn't be the smart thing to do. So, but just beware. Every time you vote, you're going to vote to increase your taxes. And they all looked at me. But they don't think of that.
No.
And so it was, people got a big kick out of that little speech that I made. And some guy said to me, that's not a bad idea. I said, well,
They're out there, Rich.
I said, honestly, yes, it is a bad idea. I said, it really was a bad idea. But it was true. I mean, if you think about it. But obviously you wouldn't do it. But the point I make, Joe, is that one of the things people have to do is think about things. And remember that dress warm on a day it's going to be really cold. When Harvey Leonard or whoever, Pete Bouchard, whoever you watch, when they tell you it's going to be 0, they're not kidding you. When they tell you to dress warm, they mean it. When the state police lower the speed limit to 40 on the turnpike, it's because there's a problem. Slow down. They really mean it. And don't.
True.
Or you'll end up in a ditch bouncing off a guardrail
Right.
and wonder why.
And they go your insurance
Yeah,
premiums.
yeah. And you'll wonder why. And so sometimes we don't realize and recognize that these people share things with us and tell us for a good reason to protect us and to give us the information we need. And I saw somebody this morning. I was at an early morning meeting, and somebody stepped out of their car quick, young lady, and she had a pair of those box on, or those clogs on. Mm-hmm. She put her foot down and she went to step out of the car, and whoop, went right down, because nothing's melting.
Right.
And she fell down. As it happened, she wasn't hurt badly, but she went down, and could have been hurt very badly. And you say to yourself, what are you thinking about wearing those? Do you have a pair of boots at home? What did you not pay attention? And it's because people don't think. They just two things we talked about earlier, before the program. Creatures of habit. You do the same thing all the time. But you have to respect the weather, you have to respect conditions, and you have to adjust to them. Do you say, look, we've all lived in New England. I had a fellow the other day who was complaining about the snow. I said to him, how long have you lived here? He said, all my life. I said, first time you ever see snow in December? He says, well, no. I said, wait a while, fella. Wait till January, it gets worse. And I'm not trying to be funny, but think about it. It happens every year. Now the good side is they're skiing crazy. I saw a thing on last night. They were all out skiing away.
Sports, yeah.
Oh, they're having a great time. So while somebody else complains about the cold, somebody else is thrilled that we have snow and they can go skiing or sledding or whatever they're doing. But drive carefully, keep a safe distance because the roads can be slick, and if there is some melting going on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, by 5 o'clock when the old sun goes down at 4:30, that's already slicked up and frozen.
Right.
The minute that sun's off it, that'll seal right up and freeze. And especially intersections, you come up to an intersection where there's a stop sign, and everybody's been hitting it all day, and that just a little bit of slick, and you're right in the middle of that intersection.
Right. You slide right through.
Yep, slide them right through. And you got to be real careful when you drive today, and just watch out. And I see that they're fixing the turnpike. Finally, I said the other day we had a situation, Joe, where I had to go to Boston, and the turnpike had potholes all over it.
Yes.
And because this is what happens to the weather, does that. And now the authority is out today, the MassDOT, and they're fixing the potholes and traffic's backed up and everything else. But they have no choice. They got to be able to fix them, or else someone's going to get a couple of people blue tires, hitting them, those low-profile tires, whack, and the rim goes right into the tire, splits it, and you got a problem. So
when you blow a tire on the turnpike, you want to go home and hug one of your pets and realize that you've been feeding them properly.
That's right.
Taking care of as far as outdoor activities go, watching what they eat, watching their weight, and taking them to the vet.
Well, Joe,
it's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. And I got to be honest. I'm delighted that the FDA, with all the programs we've done and all the different subjects that we've talked about over the many years we've been together, this is wonderful that the FDA does concern themselves with pets.
Very family-friendly organization. We really are. And we are concerned about animals and animal health. And
yeah, I'm thrilled.
We really are. It's a major thing. It's a big concern. I mean, so many of your viewers out there, Richard, have pets that they love, and they're probably, squeezing them and hugging them while they watch this program right now. And it's just a big part of their lives.
Well, Drew will tell you, we've done 2 or 3. We had a fellow that came in here that trains them.
Oh,
and
nice.
He used to bring his dog in.
How nice
and,
is that?
it was unbelievable. The dog was unbelievable. Say, sit. Dog would sit right down.
Yeah.
Stand up, dog would stand right up. And he does lessons. He teaches people how to take care and train their dog, because dogs like to be trained. They like to be.
Yeah, they want to satisfy you.
That's right. They want to keep you happy.
Yep.
And they'll do what you tell them to do. And he says, and because I have an argument that people don't train dogs. Dogs train people.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, if we were all sitting around the living room and I get up to go to the door, how many people do you think would jump up and open the door for me? Nobody.
Probably nobody.
But if we're all sitting around the living room and Rover gets up to go to the door, 4 people run to open the door for him. Who's trained who?
You're making a good argument there, Coach. You really are. A very good argument. Right?
Well, Joe, I want to thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
End of another program. It's always a delight to have you
I
here.
love being on the show.
And it's fun, and we get some messages out there. But it's an enjoyable program, and I really look forward when I get the little email from Joe says, I want to do another program. I really get excited because it's a program that's going to make sense. It's a program that people will be interested in, and we have some great, and then Joe brings statistics.
Stats.
And boy, 140 million dogs and cats in America today.
How about that, huh?
140 million, and that's 36% of the households have an animal. How about that?
That's huge.
So the bottom line is, folks, take care of that doggy and that kitty. Joe, thanks a bunch.
Thanks, Coach.
There you have it, folks. That's another Conversations With, and thanks for viewing us.